Hello and welcome to the Common Colt Podcast. I'm Josh Hudgens and with me is Dan Hertzler. How's it going today, Dan?
Pretty good. Excited, man. Football's back.
We are pumped up. And if you guys haven't heard of the Common Colt Podcast, we're just common guys just talking about one of my favorite teams, the Colts. And let's get right into it here. It's game week. It's week one. They're playing the Texans, a team that the Colts have kind of thrashed really since the merger, since they really joined the AFC South. Colts lead the series 32-9, and the last time the Texans beat the Colts was in 2019. Jacoby Brissett was slinging the rock for the Colts at that time. But heading into this game, the Colts, it's been well documented, they're leading the league, or they have the longest active streak of week one losses in the NFL with 8 straight losses. That's the Colts. Second closest team is the Giants with 5. The Colts are favored by 7.5 points. This should be the week. This should be the year the Colts finally get a week one win. Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, you mentioned the point spread. That's in NFL standards, that's on the higher side of a point spread, especially week one when we don't know a lot about the teams. It probably says a lot more about the Texans, but it does also say something about the Colts, that the Colts are probably the more established team, especially if you look up and down the rosters. The Texans are going with this youth movement. I believe they've got 3 rookies that are starting. The defensive back Stingley Jr. You got Pierce, the one that everyone's talking about in fantasy world, and then you've got a safety that's starting too. But their first round guard is actually not starting, so a little bit of surprise down there. But I think everyone is kind of looking at the Texans as a rebuild. You got a second-year quarterback. You got a new offensive coordinator, one that Colts fans are really familiar with, and Pep Hamilton, one that loves the tight end. So as you're familiar, kind of back to Andrew Luck and Hamilton came from Stanford. He loves the tight end. They just picked up O.J. Howard off of waivers. I don't think he's going to play. Maybe he'll get some spot snaps, but they still have some good tight ends down there. So I would expect a pretty conservative play calling. I would expect not putting Mills in a lot of difficult situations, and they want to establish the run. Now, that really helps the Colts, because Colts, I think, are going to have a good run defense, especially with no injuries. And we'll talk about the injury report here in a second. But, that's kind of what I expect. So this might be a little bit of a throwback to some, football the way, maybe it was played 20 years or so ago. But I think you're going to see the Colts cover that spread. We'll get to predictions in a second. But injury report is obviously important, and that's the thing that comes out, this time of the week. And, the Colts, right, coming off of a preseason, they're looking really good, which, that's kind of the big worry in a preseason is just nobody get hurt. So the biggest question is Leonard. And, Josh, I know you got some things you want to say about him, some things you've seen, what you're guessing what he's going to do, if he's going to play or how many snaps he's going to play.
Yeah, that's been the big thing. And Shaquille Leonard recently today, which is Thursday, the day we're recording this, in an interview, he said, hey, if he feels good, he's going to play. He wants to play. He doesn't even really want to have a snap count. I mean, he just, when he's in, he wants to go. And obviously, he just had surgery on his back this past offseason. He really was not active at all in the Colts offseason, training camp, OTAs, anything like that. But if you watched the interview, he was very, very, very careful with how he worded things. He did not want to spill the beans either way. And I know he's been practicing, but I'm still not convinced that he's going to play this game. And it's a big game. And I know people say, oh, it's just the Texans. But we go back, the Colts want to start off hot. And I think that if he's clear to play medically, I think you have to put him in. But I'm just not convinced he's ready to play this game. You would hate to re-aggravate an injury in week one. So I can see it from both perspectives. I can see it from the perspective of, hey, let's push this guy and get him in because we want to start off hot. But it's also, it's a franchise player that you don't want to put out there too early. My gut tells me that it's going to be at least another week or two before we see Shaquille Leonard on the field. What are you thinking?
Well, from what I was seeing and looking at today, it looks like he went full go yesterday. Today is limited, so that could be leading either way. It could be okay. They want to rest him after a full day, or they saw something in the full day. So tomorrow will be the big tell. Tomorrow will probably be get the official word or gets that kind of infamous tag of game time decision. But I think you're right. I think no matter what they do, it's going to be limited. He's not going to be full go, and it's a big blow to them. But like you said, it's a full season, and so I don't think they want to push it. And my guess is if he plays, I think Frank Gregg was even talking about maybe like 15 snaps, something. It's going to be a snap count if he plays. So, Josh, what are some of your keys here for the game? What are you looking to see what happens?
Yeah, outside of Shaquille Leonard playing the game, I think you have to have a fast start. Everybody's talking about the loss to Jacksonville and that looming over them. And just knowing you've exercised those demons, you're ready to rock and roll. It's a new season. It's a fresh start. Get out there, put your foot on the gas, put your foot on their throat, and beat a team that you're favored by 7.5 points. That does not happen in the NFL very much. You're up, you're against a divisional opponent. You have a chance to really get the season off right. I think you gotta start fast. And then secondly, you've got to turn up the heat on Davis Mills, who I'm actually kind of high on. I think Davis Mills is a solid young quarterback. That Stanford connection, he played at Stanford. Pep Hamilton, Stanford coach at one point. I think that if we can get some pressure with Kwity Paye, with Ngakoue, with them guys, rattle this guy. He's young still. That offensive line's not good. So I think that's a key. And then finally, a player not named Jonathan Taylor needs to step it up. Matt Ryan, obviously, Jonathan Taylor, but will it be Pittman? Will it be Alec Pierce? Will he have a big rookie debut? I don't know, but somebody has got to catch the ball and kind of make their mark as a receiver on this Colts team. What are you thinking?
Yeah, you mentioned Davis Mills. I think I might even call him David earlier. I always mess up first names. I get the first letter right, but that first name. Anyways, Davis Mills, I agree. He had a promising out of kind of nowhere. It wasn't heralded as one of the top rookie quarterbacks. Came out of a little bit out of no man's land. Played in a difficult situation, the whole Watson, the whole situation down there, and played well towards the end of the year. He was named a captain, pretty big honor for a second-year player, and they're putting a lot of expectations and responsibilities on him, which everyone's talking about this upcoming draft class being the quarterback draft class. It's going to be so good, and so he's got to play well if he wants to keep his job. So my first key here in all this though is for the Colts, no mistakes. When you're the better team, when you got more talent, it really comes down to just simple execution. And that sounds like an easy word. That sounds like professionals should be executing. But, first game, some guys might be a little bit out of rhythm. Some guys hadn't played a full game yet. Even though, they go through the preseason, the conditioning still might not be there. And a simple block that they miss could lead to a sack. That could be a pick or a fumble six or something. So there has to be just no mistakes from the Colts. They got to get in there, do what they know what they got to do, and just do it. The next thing is pressure. We talked about from Davis Mills, and you want pressure from the defensive line. I'm also looking at these other rookies. You got two rookies starting in the secondary for the Texans. You got a veteran quarterback in Matt Ryan. So Matt Ryan should be able to take advantage of some of these rookies. What's that?
You got to attack them.
Yeah, attack them, right. Yeah, you just can't sit back and kind of let them get comfortable. Okay, the thing you want in them is them to realize the NFL game speed is so much different than the college game speed. So preseason is one thing. Now it's the real deal. The lights are on, and so you want to go right at him. I'm looking at Michael Pittman, as the guy. He's my unsung hero. He's the guy. He's my third key. I think he's the guy that's got to step up. He's got to be able to have a big game. He's not worthy of a cornerback following him around, so they can move him around. He can show some chemistry with Ryan. If you can add that other element, that unsung hero, I think it's going to be Michael Pittman. Now, so Josh, if those are the keys to winning, what happens if they don't? Who do you think on Monday morning is going to be public enemy number one if the Colts lose this game?
I think it has to be the front office. All offseason, and I'm a big Jim Irsay supporter. I love Jim Irsay because the guy bleeds blue. There's a lot of NFL owners and a lot of sports owners who maybe don't care about their team, or maybe they care a little bit, but they're not invested. Jim Irsay is a guy who's invested in owning a football team and winning a winning football team. But he's gone publicly on podcasts, Pat McAfee show being one of them, and he's kind of he's throwing old Carson Wentz under the bus. So I think that if they've gone out, they've used Wentz as the scapegoat, and they traded for a quarterback, and he's compared him to like a astronaut and the Navy SEAL and all these things. So the front office not only trading Wentz and then getting a quarterback who you say is going to solve the problem, but then not addressing the receiver situation. If you're not scoring points, if the quarterback's struggling, when Frank Reich and Chris Ballard have said multiple times that they like the receivers, when the fans and when everybody else is saying, hey, Paris Campbell can't stay healthy and Pittman's not bad, but really there's no other proven guy on the team. Why don't we try to kick the tires on an Odell or somebody like that? And they stand pat. So if you trade for Matt Ryan and he's struggling with a bad receiving core, I think it falls on the front office of hey, yeah, you used Wentz as a scapegoat and he probably wasn't the answer, but we've got some other deep-seated problems in Indianapolis. You cannot lose to Jacksonville last week of the season to miss the playoffs and lose the season over to Houston, the 32nd ranked team in the NFL right now.
Yeah, that's interesting. So if this is a bad game, you're going straight to the front office, or are you thinking more coaching staff?
I'm going front office. I'm going front office because I'm a Chris Ballard fan. But if we're going to be extreme and we're going to say they're going to lose to the 32nd ranked team in the NFL, I've looked at the power rankings. Everybody kind of thinks Houston is that bad. I think that you just have to say, you know what, this roster as constructed just is not the roster that we think it is. I know the word potential gets thrown around a lot with a lot of players on the Colts. And as the saying goes, potential this is something that you haven't done yet. So the Colts are at the point where they either have the potential or they are just what they are, and they would need to gut the quarterback situation, gut the receiving core, and maybe gut the coaching staff if you're starting to start off the season losing to Houston and you get on a bad snowball.
Yeah, this is what makes the NFL so great, right? We haven't played one
overreaction,
and you're already trying to get rid of the quarterback, the receiver. No, I get it though, because and we said this on the last podcast. The Colts are stuck in that good but not great, not bad, kind of that middle mediocrity kind of spot, and that's one of the worst spots you can be in the NFL. And so I get that. I would give the front office, even the coaching staff, a few more weeks though before I'm ready to put them under the spotlight. I think this one's all about Matt Ryan. To me, if the Colts lose this game, I think they're going to lose it because Matt Ryan throws a dumb pick or holds onto the ball too long and gets a strip sack. There's got to be some kind of negative play that comes from Matt Ryan for the Texans to win this game. That's the only way. I don't think they're good enough any other way. Like we said, they're just not talented enough.
Yeah.
They're getting there. They're on the right path. I think they're making some good decisions. Hey, hats off to them. But they're not at the Colts level. So the only way that the Texans can win is some stupid play that Matt Ryan does, either trying to prove too much or not the chemistry or something that happens. So to me, if we're here on Monday morning and we're driving into work and we're just mulling over, I can't believe the Colts lost week 1 again. I can't believe they lost to the Texans. I think the third thing you're going to say is Matt Ryan, he sucks, he stinks.
Yeah.
Why'd we trade for him? So. To me, he's going to be the scapegoat, or he's going to be the public enemy number one.
Yeah.
So what? Go ahead. What did you say?
Well, I was going to say, and I know you talked about Matt Ryan, and when I think about the score to this game, and I think about the Colts, I think the Colts are going to win this game. I know I gave an overreaction take, and I think losing to Houston week 1 deserves an overreaction. I mean, that would be all-time bad after losing to Jacksonville. I'm still not over that loss to Jacksonville. But so 2 back-to-back, that's overreaction worthy. But I think the Colts are going to win this game by 2 scores, 31-17, something like that. But I think this game is going to be closer than what people think. And the reason being, and you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, I don't think that Matt Ryan's going to be bad in the sense of like airmailing passes and missing guys and trying to trying to prove he's what he was 5, 6 years ago. But I think that this offense is going to take some time. It's going to need to mesh, and chemistry is real. And I know Colts fans aren't a fan of the guy really, but Tom Brady in Tampa, his first game was against the Saints, a few years back, and they looked awful. I mean, they had Gronk, and they looked awful week 1 against the Saints, and they got blown out. And obviously later that season, they won the Super Bowl and beat the Saints in the playoffs in that run. So I think that this game could be a little bit closer than we want throughout, just because the offense isn't quite, clicking at all cylinders with each other. And Jonathan Taylor, the guy, he didn't even play in the preseason. So I know he's one of the best backs in the NFL, but just game experience with each other. I mean, in a real game, Jonathan Taylor and Matt Ryan haven't even played with each other. So that's something to think about. So I think there's going to be some chemistry that needs to be founded, but the Colts are going to win this game.
You think so? You're thinking halftime close, Colts pull away in the
Yeah.
end?
Yeah. I'm going with 31-17, and I think it'll be close at halftime, but bad teams find a way to lose games, and Houston's just a bad football team, and the Colts are better. The Colts are just better, and they're going to find a way. Matt Ryan, I don't think he's going to make the dumb mistake, and I think their defense is going to – I think they have a top 5 defense. And with or without Shaquille Leonard this game, I think they're going to play like a top 5 defense because Houston's that bad. Colts are going to win this game. What do you think?
I just think it's funny. You get all the downers. You think it's going to close, and then you say, "Hey, 14-point win." No big deal.
It's just old Davis Mills. I like Davis Mills, but I don't believe in Davis Mills like that.
Gotcha. Well, I think it's going to be a little bit close, like you said early, but. I think talent wins out. I got 28-10. I think the Colts defense scores a touchdown. I think somehow they get some points. I think the Colts win over in the turnover margin. And then ultimately, I think Jonathan Taylor is going to outduel Dameon Pierce. And, I think that's the big difference. You use Tom Brady as your analogy, and I think that's a good one for a quarterback. But the Colts aren't built to be a passing team.
Yeah.
They are built to win defense, to win the offensive line, and to run the ball. And it doesn't take a lot of chemistry from Matt Ryan to hand the ball off to Jonathan Taylor. So I think that's where they're going to do it. Play action off of that. Maybe take advantage against some of those rookies with the play action in the Texans secondary. I think this game's going to be never in doubt. Maybe close just because of the style that the Colts play. They're not going to put up a ton of points unless Texans completely implode and they just turn the ball over and the Colts score defense after defense, which I did take them as my fantasy defense.
Hey, there you go.
They're going to but I got them 28-10, and I am excited though. I think this Pierce Taylor running back duo, you even throw in Henry in there. These are some good backs that are in the NFC South. I think that's a lot of fun to watch. It's always fun to watch young and upcoming players. You don't want them to become too good because then they start beating your team.
Yeah.
But it's fun to watch them play, and I'm excited to see these guys go at it.
Do you think that Taylor could start off a little slow or rusty this year? He had a big year last year, didn't play in the preseason. Do you see any? Obviously, Colts are now their left tackle had big question mark there at left tackle. You still have Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, Braden Smith, but do you think he could start off slow this year?
No, I don't see Taylor needing the reps. Being one because he falls in that category. He's played in the league. He understands the league, but he's not too old. I think sometimes you see the young guys struggle and you see the older guys struggle because the older guys, their body just has to get warmed back up. But I think Taylor fits right into that mold of just being at the prime, the height of his running back, career here. And left tackle, I'm not too worried about at all when it comes to running game. The center is going to dictate the calls. The center is going to be the one that identifies the stunts, the blitzes, all those types of things. With Matt Ryan being a veteran quarterback, those are two huge aspects to the run game. A lot of people overlook veteran quarterback reading the defense, audibling at the line. Matt Ryan is that, and then you have your center, you have your interior guys. The left tackle issue will be a lot more about pass blocking than it will be about the run blocking. So. I think Taylor will be fine. Now, the other thing, too, and we didn't touch about it, but it's curious to see, Frank Reich talks about, having some new wrinkles to this thing, some things he can do with Matt Ryan that supposedly he couldn't do before, new things. And we didn't see any of that in the preseason. So that's another kind of subtle little key that we should be watching in this game. Will the Colts offense look any different? Do they have any gadget plays? Do they have any things different than they've ever done before or put on tape? Like, or is Frank Reich just kind of doing the old coach speak and, we're going to just buy into it. So, that's going to be fun. And hey, the good news is Colts football is back.
Yeah.
And we're going to actually get to talk about real games. We're actually going to be able to break down real plays that happen on a Sunday, not just talking about draft picks and preseason and moves and injury reports, but actual games, and that's coming this Sunday, man. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, man, I'm fired up, and the thing is, like you said, just to touch on it a little bit, I don't think Jonathan Taylor is going to have as much yards this season, but he might be a little more efficient. Just having a quarterback, like you said, hey, this box is loaded. Maybe we shouldn't give it to Taylor here. I can call an audible, and I can make the hot read and not let Taylor run into a pile of guys. But I'm excited for Colts football. I'm excited for the season, and I believe the Colts are going to win week 1. I feel like I'm going to jinx them, knock on wood. I'm going to avoid walking underneath any ladders, no black cats. But I think the Colts are going to win this game, and I think Colts fans are going to be very happy for the first time week 1 in a very long time.
Yeah, Stone Cold Lock, Colts cover.
Let's go,
put your
baby.
House on it, put your farm on it, and we are not sponsored by anybody, so don't come at us if they happen to lose.
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, that's Dan Hertzler. I'm Josh Hudgens. This is the Common Colts Podcast. Again, a podcast by the Common Guy, just talking about the Colts. Guys, hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We're on Apple. We're on Spotify. We're on YouTube. Follow us, like us, share us. Thanks again for listening or watching, and you guys have a great day.